What's up guys, Mike and Nathan here coming back at you with another good, bad, and weird review.
And this time it's with the 2018 Nissan Rogue Sport.
Before we get into this good, bad, weird review, let's take a moment to talk about the engine. This, under the hood, is a 2-liter naturally aspirated 4-cylinder that makes 141 horsepower and 147 pound-feet of torque. Now, typical for Nissan, power is sent to all 4 wheels through a CVT, a continuously variable transmission. More on that later, but this engine actually takes us to our first good point, which is the Nissan Rogue Sport's MPG. The Rogue Sport, according to the EPA, is supposed to get 24 mpg city, 30 mpg on the highway for a combined rating of 27, but me and the guys just took this thing to lunch and we actually ended up getting almost 30 mpg on a combined highway and city driving loop.
Another great thing about this Nissan is the fact that you can take options and make them individual. In other words, you can choose specific things in many cases, as opposed to vehicles that make you pull them all together and only give you packages. A lot of automakers are going that way, but with Nissan, at least with the trim packages available with this vehicle, going from base all the way up to its top level, you're able to choose a lot of individual options.
Okay, so our next good point brings us to another segment of Cool Tech Mike with, Cool Tech with Mike, that's the one. Alright, so the first cool tech feature that this Nissan Rogue Sport has is a top-down 360-degree camera view. It's a feature that's becoming pretty common on a lot of new cars today, but this one has it and we love it. The next cool thing that it has is adaptive cruise control, which for a car that costs less than $30,000 is a nice feature to have. Now, the last thing that I want to mention about the tech is actually that you can get a lot of really nice driver safety features such as automatic emergency braking and other driver enhancement suites that really make this a technologically advanced place to be.
Now, the next good thing on this vehicle, as far as I'm concerned, is looks. Now, I know it's subjective, but can we all agree that it's a better looking vehicle than the larger Rogue? I think it is. Also, I like its proportions. I like the way it's shaped. I like how it is sculpted, especially the hood. Altogether, I think it's a decent looking car. With the good, you have to have the bad, right? Here's one of them. Price. I think this car is a little expensive. Now, the base model, which is the S, you can get with front wheel drive at around $22,000. That's not too terribly bad, considering you do get some good equipment for the money, but once you start adding up all the stuff that takes to get to this point, which is the SV, this vehicle's nearly $29,000. It's a lot of money.
Alright, so another bad point, especially for those of us who are kind of tall like myself and Nathan, we're both about 6'2". The back seat is a little lacking in headroom. Let me show you. So I'll hop back here. I have the driver's seat position where I would be driving, and legroom is not terrible. I have enough legroom, but my head is right up on the roof here, and so if you have tall friends, it might be a little hard to squeeze them in the back seat. There's a couple more bad things about this Nissan Rogue Sport, and they have to do with the driving experience. And the first one is something that we gripe about all the time, and I know we're gonna get some crap for this, but we have to say it anyways. It's the CVT. Yeah, the continuously variable transmission. I'm gonna do a little test. So I'm gonna tell you when I've floored it, and then I'll let you know when we actually start moving it all.
So you're gonna put your foot all the way down on the ground real quick.
Really fast. I'm just gonna put it all the way down.
I'm gonna time it.
See what happens. All right, ready?
Yep.
3, 2, 1. Foot's down.
That's a full second and change.
All right, and we're still not going that fast. So yeah, you put your foot down. There's a not so brief pause, and then a lot of noise, but not much else happens.
It's funny, it's almost like a turbo lag without the turbo.
Yeah, there's definitely no turbo because this thing is super slow.
Yeah.
And honestly guys, the CVT is part of the reason that we're not going to take this Rogue Sport up Goldmine Hill. Frankly, CVTs tend to struggle off-road in tricky all-wheel drive situations, and for that reason we felt it was best to just leave it on the cement.
But what's the other negative, would you say?
Well, the other gripe that we had with the driving experience was the ride. We feel like it's a little stiff, a little jiggly, which has an upside. It has one upside in that actually it's kind of fun when you toss it into a corner.
Well, what happens is instead of it being a typical crossover that almost falls over itself when you throw it around a corner, this one actually doesn't tilt very much. It doesn't dive very much. The body stays fairly flat. But the problem with that is there's no trade-off in terms of comfort.
You know, it's really quite put together when you go a little aggressively into a corner. There's not much body roll.
Nope.
But like you said, the downside of that is that the ride can be a little harsh, a little jarring.
I think choppy is a good way to put it.
Yeah, choppy.
So if you don't like that ride, one thing I would recommend is going for the lesser versions, which have smaller wheels and
bigger
more rubber.
Sidewall. Yep.
So that's one thing to think about. So one of the weird things, actually a few of the weird things come from back here, one of which is Rogue Sport. Yeah, they call it Rogue Sport. It's so confusing when they do that, right? Because you have the Rogue and then you have the Rogue Sport. They're different platforms, they're different vehicles. So why not just name it something else? Well, actually, there's a reason. It turns out that the Rogue Sport and the Rogue are both sold under the name Rogue. So on paper, the sales numbers are much bigger. Now, let's look at something else that's weird, and that is down here. Ta-da! Yes, these are two separate storage compartment thingies, both of which are completely removable. However, there's not a ton of space down here, so to speak, but we figured out one of the things they like to do with this. So you could take this and make this weird partition.
Okay, the next weird thing brings us to the interior, and it's right here. It's the steering wheel. Now, you'll notice that it's got all the buttons and normal functions like most steering wheels, but it also has a flat bottom, which is something I usually associate with sports cars. Now, Nissan does call this the Rogue Sport, but it's a crossover and it's not really a sports car, so the flat bottom steering wheel just feels a bit out of place. One more weird thing is down here with the pedals, and it's the fact that this Nissan Rogue Sport has a push-on, push-off kick pedal for a parking brake. Now, I guess you see some cars with that, but most of them nowadays are an electronic unit or a handbrake, and this is something that you really only see on trucks nowadays, but there you go. It has a kick pedal foot brake. One other weird thing to mention, this Rogue Sport doesn't have automatic stop-start, which for a car that seems to be rather focused towards fuel economy is just a bit strange. For the final weird point on the Nissan Rogue Sport, we have another segment of Cool Mike Tech. Shoot, dang it. Cool Tech with Mike. Oh, that's it, I got it. Okay, here we go. Cool Tech with Mike. So, you have this great little infotainment system, nothing wrong there. This has the cool camera and all that stuff, but what's strange is that you don't get App Connect. So you don't get Apple CarPlay and you don't get Android Auto. You can get the Nissan Connect app, which gives you access to Facebook and a Google search through this little My Apps tab. However, you can't use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Kind of weird. Okay, so in our closing segment here, we've actually discovered another weird thing about this Rogue Sport, in that once you lock or unlock the doors, they just stay that way. Most cars nowadays, when you put it in park, the door will automatically unlock when you try and open it.
Okay, so open the door.
Okay, so I'll unlock it.
Open it, shut.
Open it, shut it, right?
Okay, now drive.
Any car right now, when you drive after you get over a certain speed, it automatically locks.
Yeah, so
I think 15 is where it locks.
Okay, there we go.
So they just locked.
Okay, now
so
stop the car.
Yep.
Put it in park.
Okay, we're stopped. We're in park.
Open the door. No, it doesn't want you to.
Does yours?
Nope.
No one's door's unlocked.
So you have to actually physically trigger the actuator, the lock button, in order to unlock the door.
Here's another test. Hold on. Okay. So we're locked again. Turn off the car. That
unlocks it.
So they don't unlock until you turn off the car.
I guess they think that's some sort of safety feature.
Okay, that's a little strange. That is weird. There you have it. The good, the bad, and the weird on the 2018 Nissan Rogue Sport. If you like this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe. Be sure to come back to tflcar.com for more news, views, and good, bad, weird reviews just like this one. Thanks. Camera sync.
It's a camera, not a sync. I'm just saying, Ian gets mad when you call him sync.
You gotta sync the camera.
You gotta throw him underwater.
No, you just sync.